Hello, everyone. Welcome to this amazing episode of Python Tidbits. It's day 7 already, and I'm so excited, so pumped up to share with you all. And so for today, we'll be looking at the Python map function, and then also would infuse it with the Astype function. Okay, so basically what we are doing is trying to see how to convert each individual element of a particular set of data type, okay, maybe a list or a tuple of data type being the same, and probably want to change it from all integers to all floats or all strings and so on and so forth. How to do that? There are multiple ways of doing it. I'll try to start them up, and then we'll see what the shortfalls are in each method, and then we'll see how best to implement it. So let's start off by defining our own input. All right, so let's say we have A being let's define our own list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Now we type in our A, and that's it. Look at the type for A, and then we see a list. All right. Now we can import NumPy. Okay. And then there are components of NumPy that, sub packages that are used to convert. For instance, let's define new variable A1, try np.float with an underscore. Okay. And then we pass in the A. So we expect that we'll change all the elements of A to a float. So now if you check A1, it's slightly different from A. There are no decimal points in the A, but the A1 has decimal points, which are floats. All right. Now, if I want to change A1 back to an integer with the same approach, let me call this A2. We should have np.int underscore, and then we pass A1 there. So that means A2 will be also a set of integers, which will be same as A1. All right. Okay. Now let's see, there's also the string underscore, but let's try that and see what happens. So A3, we call that np.str underscore. We pass in, let's pass in just A. We could have passed in any of them, but let's pass in A. Okay, so now let's see what happens. A3. And then instead of changing all the individual elements to string, you rather change the entire block to a string. So the strings are, the single quotation marks are just around the whole box, which is not what we needed in this case. We want to change each and every element, all right? Okay, so let's try another approach, which I doubt would work for this. It actually works mostly within the NDRE type. Okay, so let's try it first and see. That's the Astype method. So let's define maybe A4 to be our A data set, okay, dot Astype. And then we just put in the type, that string. All you're saying is to change all the A elements into string. All right, let's see what happens. Now there's an error because list has no attributes as type. Okay. Okay, so there's an error produced. Okay, but then let's try for another set of data. Let's say maybe X, and then we use np.arange of 25. Let's say we are creating, that is 15, just to create a new set of elements that's from 0 to 14. Okay, so with X, we now have a different set of data, which is an array type. Okay, and then when we check the type of X, we have NumPy ND array. Okay, now if I try this on the X, that works because this data type allows for the Astype method. So if I type in A4, I'll see that each element is converted into a string. It means with the data type of numpy.nd array, I can change it using the Astype directly. I could probably have, let's say, A5 and then call the x.astype and change it to a float. Okay. So now A5 should contain the values as floats. See with the decimal places. All right. But then in the case of the string, when we tried for the list, we're having an error. If you try it with a tuple, we wouldn't be able to have the result also. So what we are going to use now is the map function. Now the map function is one simplistic method that works with almost any type of data set. and it allows you to perform a function on each iterable term. You can use it for your own predefined functions or inbuilt functions. For the sake of this video, I wouldn't take it to the next phase of adding your own generated function. We'll look at that hopefully in the next lesson. But to keep this very brief, you're going to employ the same approach as the conversion of the individual elements using the map function. So all we are doing is, let's call our new, how you make use of it, you just type in map, and then within your inner brackets, you have the function and then your iterables. So the function I want to use here now is just a float function. That's to change elements. Ideally, the float is just this, okay, float as a function. And this is how functions are written. So if I have float on a value, say 2, it changes that value to a float. So I call the function in the map, and then I also include the set of data I would need. So let's say A. That means each term of A should be changed to a float based on the function. All right. Now, this would have worked straightforward in Python 2, but then Python 3 has a new approach. So when you run this, it tells you that this is a function that's executed, but then you're not seeing the output. So what we want to do is to keep this in the list function, okay, so that it will create a new list of all the elements. Let's call this, okay, let me call this M1, since it's for the mapping, okay? And then in this case, when we type in M1, it has all the elements. Now let's redeploy this line 26 and then call it M2. Then we are changing this to a string. So all I need to do is just to pass in place of float string. And then you realize that that changes all the individual elements to a string, which is exactly how I want it. All right, so it's very easy. If you want to change the type of your elements in any data set, you can just use the map function, and then it's easy to do that. I can, in place of a list, rather generate a tuple out of a data set. So in place of list, I use tuple. And then when we type in M2, we should see that the square brackets switch into ordinary parentheses. And then the type of M2 would give us a tuple. All right. So this probably everything you need for now. When it comes to converting your iterable terms within a data set that's iterable, it's quite easy to use the map function, and that's quite straightforward. And all right, so that's it for today's session. Do have an amazing time while coding and getting better at it. Like we always say, it's always bigger at the top and it can accommodate all of us. So let's push and then get better at it. Do have an amazing day. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get notified whenever there's a new item. And then leave a comment. If you have a question, you can put it in the comment section and then the team would address it. Don't forget to also like and share. Do have an amazing day. Bye-bye.